What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Fearlessness YouTube channel, and in today's video I'll be giving you a 2023 AFL Grand Final preview. It's also a bit of a prediction video, I guess. I'll be giving you my official tip, who I think will win, the Norm Smith. I might even chuck in like a first goal scorer maybe if I feel like it. And yeah, just my overall thoughts and how I think the game will be shaped and how I think the game will be won by either side. If you guys go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, share and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And you've probably noticed, yes, I am in a different setup once again. But don't you worry, next week in my next video, I will be back in my normal setup. This is just temporary. But anyways, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight on previewing the 2023. So on the 30th of September, which is Saturday, I'm currently filming this on the Thursday, so this is 2 days from now. So on the Saturday, the 30th of September, 2023, we've got Collingwood taking on Brisbane at the MCG for some grand final footy action. The biggest day in September, without a doubt. It's actually 20 years to the day almost that these two last played off in a granny, which was 2003. Obviously, we know Brisbane got the job done that day to cap off their magnificent three-peat. This is actually the first time Brisbane have faced off against Collingwood at the MCG since 2017. And speaking of that, the Lions actually have a very, very good record against Collingwood as of recent times. The last, I think, 5 times they've played Collingwood, they've beaten them all 5 of those times. But as we know, all 5 of those games were either at Marvel Stadium or the Gabba. So this is the first time, like I said, in quite a number of years that the Lions are actually coming up against Collingwood at the MCG. So as we all expect, because the grand final is at the MCG, you'd expect Collingwood get a huge advantage here in this game. But to be honest, I think this is the best grand final we probably could have hoped for. I know a lot of people were hoping it would be Collingwood-Carlton, because obviously it's one of the more anticipated grand finals, and it would probably be one of the most exciting grand finals, a Collingwood-Carlton granny, and I do hope that happens sometime down the track. But in reality, like I said, I think we've got the best two sides in the competition lining up here. We've got Collingwood, who are one of the better defensive sides in the competition, and then we've got Brisbane, who, in my opinion, are the best offensive team in the competition, especially this year, in the last couple of years even. So I think this makes for a very enthralling contest, and I'll be very keen to see which way this one goes on Saturday. I think it could go either way, to be honest. Where do I think the game will be won and lost? Well, I feel like the midfield is definitely going to be one to keep an eye out for. Obviously, we know Brisbane, in that first quarter against the Blues in the prelim, they were absolutely smacked. They were smashed, Brisbane, in that midfield battle in the first quarter against the Blues. And we saw, once Brisbane lost that midfield battle, they really lost all composure, moving forward. They just kept blasting the ball, making errors and little fumbles at crucial times. So I think the midfield is definitely going to be key because, even though Brisbane lost the midfield battle at the start, because they were able to get back on top in the midfield later in the game against the Blues, they were ultimately able to outrun and overpower the Blues, obviously, in that second half. But the same can be said for Collingwood. I mean, in their prelim last week against GWS, when they lost the midfield battle as well, all of a sudden GWS, they started to kick a goal and then another goal and then another goal, and then all of a sudden 1 or 2 goals turned into 3 or 4 goals, when GWS got that ascendancy in the midfield over Collingwood. So I think the midfield is going to be key in this match, to be honest. I think, it's going to be up to the likes of Jordan De Goey and Nick Dacos and Scott Pendlebury even to really lift that Collingwood midfield. And for Brisbane, they're going to have to rely on their stars like Lachie Neale, Josh Dunkley, even Cam Rayner and Hugh McCluggage and all these guys. Like I said, the midfield battle is crucial to winning this game. And I think whoever wins the midfield battle is probably like an 80% chance of winning this game, to be honest. I think both sides rely so heavily on winning the clearances. But I guess the all-important question is, who is going to get up in this one? Like I said, it's going to come down to who's tougher around the midfield, I reckon. I think Collingwood's back six can probably handle Brisbane offensively, and I think Collingwood's attack and style of play can definitely, I think, trouble Brisbane. Like I said, in that first quarter against the Blues, we saw Brisbane, if Collingwood or anyone else bring the heat early, sometimes, and not every time, but sometimes Brisbane can be a little bit spooked by that intense pressure that we saw the Blues take it up to them in a very similar way last week in that first quarter. And I feel like Collingwood could really make the most of some of those opportunities. Like I said, obviously we saw the Blues put immense pressure on the Lions midfield and defence in that first quarter, and they were really able to get a really nice lead, the Blues, before ultimately Brisbane pegged them back. But if Collingwood can start the same way that Carlton did against the Lions last week, it's not just going to be a 20-point lead. It probably could be a 50-point lead if Brisbane are not switched on from the get-go. So I think it is crucial for Brisbane to learn from their mistakes in the first quarter against the Blues and really be switched on from the minute go, because they are going to need to be, because Collingwood, as we know, they're one of the fastest starting teams in the competition this year. But I think the one thing that will lean towards Brisbane in this matchup is probably their form against Collingwood. Like I said, they've beaten Collingwood the last 5 times, Brisbane, and yeah, they weren't at the MCG, and you'd expect Collingwood, like I said, to get an advantage at the MCG. I feel like just having that good form against Collingwood, as we've seen in recent matchups, can really just inspire your confidence a little bit and can really give you a lot of motivation going into this. Brisbane, that they've toppled Collingwood before, a lot of times they can do it again, but then again, Brisbane, they're definitely the less experienced side out of the two. The last time Collingwood played in the grand final was only a couple of years ago in 2018. And as we know, the last time Brisbane played in the grand final was 2004. And to be honest, the last time Brisbane played in a grand final, I wasn't even alive. So yeah, so it's definitely been a long time coming for Brisbane fans. So it's good to see finally that Brisbane have finally, managed to win a prelim and qualify for the grand finals. So even if Brisbane lose, I think you still have to say it's been a very successful year for the Lions, because, like I said, they haven't made a grand final in ages. They've come very, very close the last few years. I think they've made semis and prelims the last couple of years. They've gone out in straight sets a couple of times as well. So it's been a long time coming for Brisbane fans and the Lions in general. But all I'm hoping for, as a neutral and a non-supporter of either side, all I'm hoping for, and I think I speak for everyone when I say this, we just want a close game. We don't want a smashing. I tell you what, if it's another 40 or 50 point win, I'm going to be very, very disappointed, because I tell you what, we've had way too many smashings in grand finals the last couple of times. The last memorable grand final that I can remember was 2018, obviously the last time Collingwood actually played in a grand final against West Coast back in 2018. That's the last memorable grand final I can actually remember. All we ask as neutrals for this to be a close game, to be honest. I don't really mind who wins. I will be supporting Brisbane in this game, obviously, because I'm not a fan of Collingwood, obviously, as you know that. But I will be supporting Brisbane. But as long as it's a memorable game, to be honest, I couldn't care less. I don't care who wins unless it's a smashing. If Collingwood absolutely blow Brisbane out of the water by 60, 70 points, then I'm going to be disappointed. But anyways, I think that is enough rambling from me for one video. I think I've said my piece. All I want at the end of the day is for this game to be close. Look, like I said, this could genuinely go either way. I'm really 50-50 split here, because even though Collingwood do have the home ground and you'd expect a home crowd advantage, Brisbane have knocked off Collingwood, like I said, the last 5 times. Could they do it one final time, the Lions, to secure a premiership? I don't really know. But unfortunately, for Brisbane's sake, I think I'm going to go with what I predicted in my finals predictions. I'm going to stick by what I said in that video, which was Collingwood to defeat Brisbane in the grand final. And look, to be honest, like I said, I think I'm going to stick with that. So my official tip for the 2023 AFL Grand Final will be Collingwood to defeat Brisbane in the 2023 AFL Grand Final by 3 points in an absolute thriller. Like I said, I just want this to be close. I want this to be a memorable grand final. I know we said it last year, and obviously Geelong won by 80 points. I know Brisbane have their strengths, and they could potentially exploit Collingwood in the midfield and also up forward as well. Like I said, Brisbane, they're one of the best offensive teams in the competition. But I feel like when the whips are cracking, with the home crowd on their side, with the home ground advantage on their side, obviously playing on the MCG, they've come a very long way, Collingwood. And I think on grand final day, I think their big players like Nick Dacos, like Jordan De Goey, maybe even someone like a Brody Myercheck might even stand up. You never know. I feel like Collingwood's big name players are going to stand up here in this game because, let's be honest, Jordan De Goey, Nick Dacos, those two players, they were built for finals footy. Like I said, I just hope it's close, man. Like, we've had way too many absolute beltings in grand finals as a recent time. We haven't had a very memorable grand final, I guess, since like 2018 when Collingwood last played off in the granny. So that's all I'm really hoping for. I hope it's close. And I feel like Collingwood, they're going to kick one in the last couple of minutes to steal victory from the jaws of defeat in the last minute or two to break Brisbane's hearts, unfortunately. Like I said, I will be going for Brisbane in this game, but to be honest, I can't not see Collingwood getting up in this game just because, like I said, they've got the home crowd advantage, they've got the home ground advantage, and like I said, their big name players were just built for finals footy, to be honest. And that's not saying Brisbane aren't ready. I just think Collingwood, they've come too far this year to stumble at the final hurdle, and I think Collingwood will be too strong for the Brisbane Lions on grand. Now, moving on now to my Norm Smith prediction. Look, there's a few options I could go with here. Nick Dacos obviously is the obvious one that comes to mind for Collingwood. If Collingwood are to get up against Brisbane in this game, I feel like Nick Dacos is going to play a massive part. Like I said, Nick Dacos, he was just built for finals footy, you can already tell. Jordan De Goey is another one that comes to mind for Collingwood. He absolutely ripped GWS apart in that prelim. I feel like he's another one, who can stand up in the big moments for Collingwood. And, when they need a lift, if Collingwood are trailing by a couple of points or something at halftime, I feel like Jordan De Goey is going to be the one to really lift Collingwood in, a third quarter or a last quarter to really inspire them to get over the lines. But if Brisbane are to win against Collingwood, I'm actually going to go with a little bit of a different prediction here. There's obviously a couple of obvious ones like Charlie Cameron and Lachie Neale, but I feel like this guy is going to be crucial for Brisbane if they are to get up over Collingwood on Saturday, and that is Josh Dunkley. I really like Josh Dunkley as a shout for the Norm Smith because you'd expect, because he did such a good job on Cripps last week in the prelim. You feel like he's the most likely matchup for someone like a Jordan De Goey. As we know, Jordan De Goey has been ripping finals apart the last few weeks. So I feel like Josh Dunkley is the man to shut down Jordan De Goey in this game. And I feel like if Brisbane are to win, like I said, Josh Dunkley is going to have to play a massive role in this grand final if Brisbane are to get up. But going off my prediction, which is Collingwood to get the job done over Brisbane, you can't look past Nick Dacos. Nick Dacos is going to be the Norm Smith medal if Collingwood get up. I guarantee it. Like, the bloke literally almost won the Brownlow from missing 3 games towards the end of the year. He was literally only a couple of votes off winning the Brownlow, despite missing the last few games of the season. Nick Dacos is going to be my Norm Smith prediction for 2023. As for my first goal scorer, look, I've never really done one of these predictions before. I'm not really like a betting man or anything like that. I don't really bet on anything, but I've got a good feeling it's going to be like a small forward. So I was thinking maybe a Charlie Cameron, but I think it's more likely Collingwood get the fast start against Brisbane in the first quarter. And I really like Beau McCreery from Collingwood to get the first goal. Beau McCreery is going to be my first goal scorer. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was my official AFL Grand Final prediction and tip, I guess, for the 2023 AFL season. Like I said, remember to leave your predictions for the Grand Final down below in the comments. I'd really like to know who you're tipping, who you're going for, and who your first goal scorer is and who's your Norm Smith. Leave all those predictions down below in the comments. I'd really like to know your guys' thoughts on the grand final and who's going to get up and who's going to decide the match. Like I said, all I'm hoping out of this grand final is that I hope it's close. Like I said, I don't really mind who wins. I will be going for Brisbane in the grand final, but like I said, as long as it's close and exciting, I don't really mind who wins, to be honest. I'll be supporting as a neutral, but I will secretly be going for Brisbane. So sorry, Collingwood fans. Don't take it too personally. Remember to leave a like, share, and subscribe if you did go on to enjoy today's video. And yeah, like I said, I'm technically in a new setup. I think I did pretty well, but yeah, I will be back to the original setup next week for my next video. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers, guys.